But like I was starting to, this is so embarrassing, man. Oh my God. This is whatever. I'm just going to go for it. I started watching Steven Crowder Change My Mind videos. And I was like, dude, yeah, I know. Please just let me explain myself.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, of course.
So I'm like watching these videos, and he's like, dude, he's freaking dunking on these freaking college kids. They're so dumb, man.
All the
So
liberal
smarter than them.
tears.
And I just was like, oh, you know, it's funny. It's not. Dude.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, wow. First time. Nothing to adjust. That's amazing.
I think so. Here, let me, because I'm going to share you on my screen too.
Yeah, no worries.
I think you might be a little low on my end. Oh, here we go. That's why, because you're not turned up all the way. Well, that makes sense. And then I'm going to full screen you. I'm not the best at Discord. Not the best. All right, there we go. And we'll go to this screen. Fantastic. All right, good to go.
How's it going?
It's going good, man. I'm excited to finally do this.
I know. Sorry, one of us has always been like busy or doing something else, or you know.
So the first time, I am still embarrassed about this. Okay, the first time, apparently we had set up a time that was like, this is when we're doing it. I didn't realize that it was like a set time. I thought we were still like figuring it out.
Yeah.
And then I come in chat one day, and you're like, dude, where were you? And I was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? I've felt bad since then. So, yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, no problems whatsoever. I'm glad we're finally connecting. So I'm just, hey, can you introduce yourself both to my audience and also so I can adjust your sound levels?
Yeah.
And thanks, Rachel.
So my name is John, or also Obese to Beast. I have a YouTube channel. I've been doing that for about 8 years. On my YouTube channel, I talk about losing weight and things like that. So I used to be close to 400 pounds, about 360 pounds. And I lost that weight in probably about a year and a half. And I started my YouTube channel pretty much like right at the tail end of my weight loss. And I've been making content ever since then. Like I started on Instagram first, and then I had so many people kind of asking me questions, and I was like, okay, let me make a YouTube channel. And the rest is history, I guess. There's much more to it, but that's a very basic rundown of it, I guess.
Totally. What started that process?
Wanting to lose the weight?
Yeah, not only wanting to lose the weight, but finding something that worked, I guess.
So growing up, I had tried to lose weight a million times, right? Like, and this is something that is really important, I think, so growing up, I was really poor. So my family, I was actually taken away from my mom when I was like really young because of drugs and stuff. But luckily we got put back with her. But then, growing up, we're in government housing Section 8. We have food stamps, all this stuff. So we just didn't have much money. And so I think that really led into like my size. But it wasn't just that. There's also, I was eating too much. And I think a big part of it was because my mom, we didn't sit down and eat food, right? It was like she would make food and then just go and get it when you can.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I learned how to eat very fast. And so I wanted to eat really fast to get seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths. But then, yeah, so growing up my whole life, I was bigger. I was from 4 years old, I had a hernia when I was 4 or 5. I don't remember the exact age, but for some reason, right after that surgery, I had the surgery to get it removed. I started gaining weight. And so gaining weight, when I was in elementary school, pretty chubby. When I was in middle school, I was fat, and then in high school I was the biggest kid at the school, right? So I had tried to lose weight so many times. I remember there's one story quickly. My mom bought Slim Fast, and
okay.
I don't know if everyone knows what that is, but it's like a weight loss shake, right? You drink it instead of a meal. Now I was a child, so I thought I can drink this with a meal, and
in addition to
lose weight. That's not how it works. So I'd been trying to lose weight my entire life, and then I got to a point where I was 20 years old when I was at my heaviest. And I got to a point where I would just joke around and say, I can't lose weight. Like it's literally, I would joke around and be like, I don't even have a metabolism or it doesn't work or whatever. Right. But then when I was 20, I was at a point where, and this might sound a little, it sounds kind of like, oh, you're being dramatic, but it's true. I truly was afraid that any day I was going to die. Like any day I was going to have a heart attack or something serious was going to happen to me. And
Were you starting to
so,
feel like complications or anything like that happening, and like numbness
yeah.
yourself?
So
Yeah.
I was relatively lucky to where I didn't have any like serious issues that landed me in the hospital. But like I was starting to get, this is things that happen with a lot of people that end up getting diabetes. So I think I was like close to that, getting that diagnosis. The closest I ever got was I was pre-diabetic, which that happened when I was in 10th grade. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe even I was and I just didn't know. But so I was getting like the redness and like the scabbiness on the hands and the feet. And then like you get really dry skin. So my knees and my elbows, because they were so dry, they were like turning black.
Wow.
And so like little things like that. And then just on top of it, right, it was just hard. Like things were just difficult. I worked at the Van shoe store and I would work 4-hour shifts and I literally would be in unbelievable amounts of pain. And Vans aren't the best shoes to be wearing for, a bigger person anyways, but like you had to wear them, obviously.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
so like all of those things, right? And then I remember there would be times where I'd be home alone and I would be afraid that like, what if something happens and no one's here? And I was like 20. I think back because
Wow.
I'm 28 now. I think back on, I'm like, I, I just was at a point where it wasn't, will my weight kill me? It was, when will it kill me? That was pretty much like it was, But so 20 years old, this is what I call my click moment. So I was invited to my best friend's brother's wedding, and at the time I was wearing a size 5XL shirt, 56-inch waist pants, and so obviously I had to find clothes. That was a freaking nightmare trying to find clothes. That is a problem. It was hard. But then, luckily, I had my best friend. He went with me. We found stuff, and I was like, "All right, I feel like I look fresh. We're about to go to this wedding." So we end up driving to the wedding. So I live in San Diego, California. The wedding is in Utah. It's like a 13-hour drive. So on the drive, I'm not drinking. I'm just drinking soda, eating chips and candy. Right? No real food. We get up to Utah. I go to get out of the car, and I literally like I got really lightheaded and kind of fell back into the car. And then there was like people at the house already, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And then I just made up a lie. I was like, "Oh, I'm just dehydrated and the altitude change." But in my head, I was like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" Because I didn't know what had happened. So I ended up taking like some, I don't know, ibuprofen or something, and then I was just like, "Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine." The whole time I was there, I was just like freaked out, man. Because like I have anxiety and stuff, and I didn't realize it that then, but oh man, I was in full blown like DEFCON 9 status or whatever. Like it was bad. The whole trip that I was there. But we end up coming back, and of course, about 2 weeks later, the photos come out of the wedding. And remember, I felt like I felt like I was styling, And I
Mhm.
see the pictures and I was just like, okay, well, I don't want to see those again. I actually have one is my background on my phone. So that's from the wedding. Um,
Wow.
and so that was from the wedding. So that wasn't actually my click moment, but that happened like right before it. So the reason I tell that story is because that's where my mind was when this thing happened. So a few weeks after that, I was watching Miami Inc. on Netflix. This is when Netflix was like pretty new. And I was binge watching, yeah, Miami Inc. So I was like seeing these people get these really cool tattoos. The only tattoos I had at the time was this one on my forearm and the other one on my forearm because I was like, I'm not going to get tattoos anywhere else because like I never show it, all of that stuff, right? And so I was watching it with many, many episodes, and then a guy came on that had lost a lot of weight. He was getting actually a cheeseburger tattoo, I think, to commemorate his weight loss, something like that. And they were just kind of like asked him, "How did you do it?" And I don't even remember exactly what he said, but it was basically like he changed the choices that he was making. So he was making certain choices that led him to where he was, and so now he's making different choices. And when I heard that, I don't know how to explain it other than something clicked in me. That's why I call it my click moment because it was like I was 20 years old at this time. I was working two jobs, but I had my own money, right? I was choosing what I was eating. I was choosing what I was or wasn't doing. And so I was like, I need to make better choices. And it's funny. That night I was eating a double entree plate of orange chicken and fried rice from Panda Express with a large soda. But I was like, I'm gonna finish this food because I'm not gonna waste it. But I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and like this is happening. And
Mhm.
that was it, man. Like that was the click moment. So right the next day I woke up and I went to Vaughn's, which is a grocery store. Well, I got my hair cut first. Then I went to Vaughn's and I bought water and like sandwich stuff because I was like, I don't know what healthy is. I didn't know anything. And that's kind of where everything started. So sorry, long story, but yeah.
That's wild. And then how long did it take you to achieve what we see today?
So I lost the weight in about a year and a half ish. It's hard to remember, honestly. It's been such a long time. And it's been about 8 years since I was at my heaviest. Because I'm 28 now. So yeah, that's kind of the timeline.
What got you into the YouTubins?
Mm.
How did you break into that?
Yeah, so like I said, I had the Instagram first. Like Obese to Beast, it's funny because some people think the name is super cheesy, and honestly, like I'm not like sitting here being like I'm a beast. Like when I made the
Yeah, I'm
when
not
I
gonna
like
lie.
I
It sounds like
promise I'm
something out
not
of
a
a Joe Rogan like sales pitch or
yeah
something, you know? Like,
yeah like
have you been
I
buying the
don't
Obese to Beast, brother? It's the newest
yeah
creatine formula.
I promise I'm so far from that type of person. Like when people, that's a whole nother thing. I think we're gonna get into it later, but
Yeah, yeah,
that's a whole nother thing. But so the reason I put it out there was one, I was like, it sounds kind of, it doesn't rhyme, but it flows kind of well. No one had it yet. And I was like, it was like an aspirational thing because I had like just lost the weight. I didn't have really any like muscle. I had just started lifting. So I was like, that sounds kind of cool. Yeah. So I started the Instagram account because so many people were getting annoyed that I was posting so much weight loss stuff on my regular account. So I was like, let me make a fitness account for this, right? So that's how
okay.
it started. And then I was getting so many questions, and I actually ran into someone that already did YouTube, and he kind of was like, you need to do it, you need to do it, you need to do it. And I was like, I don't know how to. I don't. This was like before like really using your phone was viable. Like they just weren't good enough yet. And he was like, come on, you can do it, you can do it. And then he was like, I'm gonna help you start it. So my friend Brian, he's still a YouTuber. He's like a vegan bodybuilder YouTuber. Um, he was like, I'm gonna help you. So he helped me film like my first few videos and actually kind of helped me edit them and stuff. And that's kind of how that started. And then when I started the YouTube channel, like a few things that I really wanted to do was I wanted to make like the transformation video, which I've done a few of, and then I wanted to make like full day of eating videos to show people like this is what I ate when I lost weight. And then I wanted to make one thing that was really important to me because I had actually shared a couple photos of my loose skin from losing weight was I wanted to make a video about it because like it's just a different medium. And that video that I ended up making was the one that went viral that like completely changed my life. So that video went viral. It's called My Biggest Insecurity, Loose Skin. It went viral, like genuinely changed my life. It was everywhere on like every news site, everywhere. I actually ended up going on the Ellen show because of it and stuff. And like, so that video right there kind of like opened the doors to be able to do YouTube as a job, right? And it's been, 7-ish years since, or like about 7-ish years that I've been doing YouTube. Probably 6 that I've been like, it's been what I do.
What can you explain that a little bit just about the like the skin stuff? Because
Yeah. So when you are large, you stretch your skin out, and when you lose weight, some of the skin doesn't shrink back down. So I still have my loose skin. I won't like flash you guys, don't worry. But I still have it. Like you can see it on my arms and stuff. Like if I were to show you, it's still there. It's just I'm lucky that like it doesn't show too much.
I would never think that. I would never look at a picture and be like, oh yeah, that dude there, he's got some loose skin, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I would that thought would never even pop into my head.
Yeah, I've gotten, it sounds weird, but I've gotten like pretty like quote unquote lucky as far as like I can wear a tank top and it's not super noticeable because there's people like it just depends on where you carry a lot of the fat is where you'll have a lot of the loose skin. So
like I was fat in high school and then it leaves like stretch marks, but like
yeah.
but like the idea I guess of like people looking at someone else and thinking like that person has loose skin, is that common? Like that's It's like one of the first times I've heard that.
So it's common in like the massive weight loss space
Oh, okay,
because,
okay.
and more so now. And I like to, I don't know, I don't want to like toot my own horn, but like I talk about it a lot more than a lot of people do. And I try to make it more normal because I want people to like, if you're losing a lot of weight, it changes, depends on the person. And there's a lot of variables that go into it. But if you're losing a massive amount of weight, it's going to happen. It
Mhm.
just will. So like, let's get ready for it, before you're like, you get there and you're like, what is going on? And I'm a freak,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
people like genuinely feel like there's something wrong with them. It's like, no, dude, it's like anything, right? Even if you
It's
say
part
if
of
you
it.
were someone that was small that gained a lot of muscle, you're gonna get stretch marks from that for the most part,
Mhm.
right? It's just how your body is, right? So like loose skin doesn't make you a freak. It just makes you a person that's lost weight. So that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
try to do.
totally, totally. Okay, so before I move into like the politics side
Yeah, yeah.
of the talk, um, I wanted to quickly say, do you have a couple pieces of advice for everyone watching that stuff they can do at home uh, that doesn't like cost a lot? First off, because I know a big problem for people is like, how do I eat well, but I also don't have the money
Mm-hmm.
to be going to like fucking Whole Foods or any of that like fucking shit, right?
Screw
Like,
Whole
or
Foods,
I
man.
might, yeah, or I might live in a food desert, or I might have that problem, right? So what are some of the things that people could do at home for that? And B, if they don't have money or they don't, or they might even have like, maybe some kind of a disability that disallows them from going to a gym or stuff, what stuff they
Mm-hmm.
could do at home that is accessible to everyone, kind of stuff like that.
Dude, this is stuff that I love that I've been getting more into the past probably year. So, the one thing I will say, if you are someone that that needs to lose or wants to lose a massive amount of weight or a good chunk of weight, the biggest thing that I want to say that hopefully you take as a good thing is that you do not need to step foot into a gym ever, right? That's if that's not something you can afford, it's absolutely 100% doable just by changing the way that you're eating. And something that's incredibly important to me is that people will sit here and be like, "Oh, you want to lose weight? Okay, let's do organic and this thing and that thing and grass fed and yada yada yada." Focus. If you just were to focus on the calories of the food that you are eating, right? Calories out in versus calories out. That works for most people. There are outliers and there's like diseases and stuff that might, but like for most people, if that's what you focus on, you can lose weight by focusing on that. And I eat frozen vegetables all the time. Like there is nothing wrong with buying a bag of frozen vegetables. It doesn't have to be fresh. Like there's nothing wrong with eating frozen chicken. I eat frozen chicken all the time. There's nothing wrong with eating like bagged rice. It's not the most cost effective, but like if you don't have somewhere to cook rice and you can only use a microwave, like there is not like it's I get so frustrated when I watch videos of people like this is how you lose weight, and then it's all really expensive stuff, and they're like
And
you should just it,
supplements and yeah.
dude. You don't ever need to take a supplement. That's important. You don't ever need to take a supplement to lose weight. 100%. And like I believe, and of course there are going to be outliers. Like if you live in a food desert and like that just makes things more difficult. It just does, right? And I personally, I'm not in one in that situation, so I can't be like, this is what I would do because I'm not in that
Yeah.
situation, right? But like if you do have access to like a supermarket, like seriously, simple foods that are not that expensive can work and you don't need to go overboard. And then the other like advice is start slow. So many people when they want to lose weight or make a change, they want to go from 0 to 100. It's like I want to lose weight. Okay, I'm eating fast food every day. All right, now I'm only going to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice, and I'm not going to drink anything other than water, and I'm going to work out 7 days a week. It's like that will work. Like you'll lose weight quick doing that. But what's the goal? To lose weight quick and then gain it back, or to create a sustainable lifestyle that you can sustain for the rest of your life. And I said sustain twice, but like, create a lifestyle that you
Yeah.
can sustain for the rest of your life that isn't difficult. Like, that's what I want people to do. And because I get the question all the time, are you afraid of gaining the weight back? Are you? And I'm like, the things that I would have to do and how much I would have to genuinely change my life now to get back to where I was, it would be work for me to like do that. Right. So that's kind of my basic rundown there. Don't be discouraged. If you feel like it's going to be more expensive or you feel like you don't have time to go to a gym, it seriously isn't necessary.
What's a really easy, cheap, or free resource people could use for like wanting to learn about like what diets to have, how much like should they be having in terms of like fiber, protein, calories? Like, is there a place where people can go if they have no money, that everyone
Yeah.
has access to?
Yeah, so the thing that is a little bit difficult is when we're talking about like if we're talking about like macro splits or like this is how many things you it's always hard because a lot of times like there are free resources and I'll shout them out here in a second. You just have to be kind of careful because a lot of times there's like background influences that will try and push some sort of something usually, right? I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah,
just
totally.
you just have to be a little weary of free resources a lot of times. But something that I recommend that everyone check out, I literally have a chat command in my stream
Mass
because
mayhem.
so
Thank
many
you so
people ask
much.
about it. So it's called tdeecalculator.net. So TDEE is total daily energy expenditure. So it's just basically a calculation of how many calories you burn in a day. So it's this calculator that it's free. You go and enter in all your information, your age, your weight, your height, all of this stuff, your activity level, and it will tell you. Again, this is just a basic calculation, so you kind of want to play with it, but it'll tell you, okay, this is how many calories you burn in a day, right? And then you decide based on whatever you want to do. If you want to lose weight, you just drop a little bit. I don't recommend it's not like, okay, it says my TDE is 2,500. So I'm going to eat 1,200 calories to lose weight. Like, no, no,
Mhm.
no. Let's eat 23 or,
Yeah,
2,200 calories.
yeah.
Let's just get right under that. Right. And so that's like a free resource that I highly recommend. And then as far as like again, you have to be a little bit discretionary and be a little bit careful, but like YouTube genuinely it does have, I think we all know how this is, right? It does have great resources, but you just have to know where to look because
Yeah.
again, especially in fitness, which I know we're going to get into, there are a lot of people that are just want to take your money. Like that just
Yeah,
want
of
to
course.
scam you. That so you
Do
have to be
you
very careful.
do you have like videos or tutorials for people who want to do say like exercise at home and again don't have access to a gym or for whatever reason, they might like have too much anxiety or depression to get to a gym that could just do it at their home? Like is there resources for that on YouTube too?
Yeah, and that's one where you're a little bit more safe if you don't go down the rabbit hole that maybe the person has, because
Yeah.
a lot of times there's like rabbit holes set up, right, to get you. But if you just stay on YouTube, right, and you're just doing these workouts, there's tons. I don't have very many just because there are people that are just much better at that than I am
Mhm.
as far as like doing at home workouts, but there's tons and tons of like especially since, everything that happened last year and everyone was kind of stuck at home, that has like increased like tenfold on YouTube. So it's like there's tons of resources there. And then as far as all the information that I was sharing, I'm not trying to like promote myself, but I have like videos that are dedicated to sharing that information if like that's something that you want to check out as well.
Um you said that poverty you think definitely influenced the weight gain at first. Can you talk a little bit about how poverty is correlated to weight and why that's often overlooked both in the media and
Yeah.
just like in general?
It's it's really interesting. I'm by no means an expert, obviously, right? I'm just a dude. But the thing that I've realized is that there are just so like for me, at least in my situation, my mom, it was like a single mother household, basically for the most part. Like dad was here and there and everywhere. But so she wasn't around very much. So she bought the cheapest food possible. So it was like, ramen noodles that, man, I didn't even cook them. I just smushed them up and then put the packet and shook it, and that's what I
Me
ate.
too. I used to do that
Yeah,
too. Oh yeah, that
like
was great candy.
it was. Yeah, exactly. And then if you got like one that had too much seasoning, you're like, oh crap. Like
Yeah,
so,
if it didn't
little
spread
things
out.
like that, like very very cheap, really not the best quality food. Hot Pockets, that was actually kind of a delicacy, but like really cheap stuff, right? Because she couldn't cook it. This is actually something I've been talking to my girlfriend about because she's also lost a significant amount of weight. But like it was mom's not here, what can we make? And that food is usually not the best, right? And then when mom would get home, the food that she could afford, chicken and rice with like cream mushroom soup in it, that was like something that we ate all the time. And like little thing or like spaghetti, and then I would have like 14 bowls of just huge amounts of spaghetti, because it was cheap, right?
Mhm.
So all of like I think that plays a huge, especially with kids, right? So like if you are someone that gains weight over, your life, you were a kid, you were obese as a kid, and you kind of just that continued. and so that I think that plays a huge role in it. And again, these are things that I'm still trying to learn more about. But I know from my own experience, like that was a huge part of it. And then again, like I had brothers and sisters, a lot of brothers and sisters, and they didn't struggle with it like I did. So that led into me being like, oh, it's not the food that I'm eating, it's something wrong with me. But the more I've looked back on it, the more I realize I just was eating, honestly, like 3 times as much as maybe my siblings were. And so that's where, my issue was. So
Yeah, fair enough. I was gonna ask, how did, I guess, not just that aspect, but the politics side of this start playing into, I guess, both your development as a YouTuber and then eventually starting to travel in, I guess, to the political side of Twitch and then popping up in chats and stuff?
Oh man, what a journey it's been. So I don't think this will be very surprising to a lot of people, and from what I've seen, a lot of people can kind of relate to it. So please don't kill me. But like growing up, so like I said, my mom, she was a drug addict and she got clean. So how she got clean was she went to a Christian rehabilitation place, right? And so growing up, I was a Christian. Like I went to church with my mom every Sunday and all of those, like I've gone to church since I was a kid, since I can remember. And like it was a big part of my identity because it was like I would be either homeless or living with other family. I don't know where I would be if my mom didn't go to this church and therefore didn't get off drugs, right? And so it was like this, it was a huge part of my life, and it still is, and it's something that I'm currently dealing with, I guess, actually a lot right now. But so that was a huge part of my life. So when I got into the public space, it still was. And so I posted a lot about going to church and reading my Bible, and that meant being conservative. And I remember when Prop 8, this is when I was in like high school or junior high, Prop 8 here was the gay marriage bill in California. I remember I would like skate around and have like Prop 8 on my skateboard, and I played drums and I had it plastered on my drum set. And now I look back, I'm like, oh my God. But like it just was part of who I was. It was all I knew, and it's just who I was. So, and then when we go into YouTube, I kind of started like watching people that I agreed with. And so that kind of started with, I'm trying to think of who the first person was that I started watching that was like political, because I wasn't into it for a long time. Like I was like, yeah, I guess I'm more right leaning. But then, so a big part of my me rethinking how I felt about that stuff was Trump. So 2016 happened, and I was like, how are the people that I felt like I was on this side, how is this the person that we've chosen? I remember thinking that and just being very confused, I guess. Like I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this. Mm-hmm. But again, even at that point, I wasn't super into it. I just remember thinking like, yikes. Yeah. Best way I can explain it. Mm-hmm. But then a few years later, it was probably like maybe 17 or 18, I started getting a little bit more into it. But then I started getting dragged more right almost. Oh, really? I never liked Trump. I could never get on board with him. But like I was starting to, this is so embarrassing, man. Oh my God. This is whatever. I'm just going to go for it. I started watching Steven Crowder Change My Mind videos. And I was like, dude, yeah, I know. Please just let me explain myself.
Yeah, okay? Yeah, of course.
So I'm like watching these videos, and he's like, dude, he's freaking dunking on these freaking college kids. They're so dumb, man.
All the liberal tears.
And I just was like, oh, it's funny. It's not. Oh, dude. Okay, so that happened. And then I started watching Jordan Peterson. I know. I bought his book.
You went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, no. I went. So there's 2 rabbit holes I've gone down. It's one, and then I went into another one. My chat's like, oh my God. So then I started, I tried to be a reader person. I hate reading. I cannot stand it. I have ADD. I tried to be a person that read. I didn't even finish his book. It's like, I couldn't even finish it. I got like that's a whole, sorry. But so I was like watching, I know, I'm sorry. I was watching, so the video that really started, I can actually remember the day, not the date, but like The lobsters. Sorry, my chat. So like I remember the day I watched, it was him and Kathy Newman, I think, that video. You know that video, right? And I remember being like, dude, this guy's freaking crushing her intellectually, and wow, like I just need
is that the British one, the Channel 4 one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
what you're trying to say is, right? That's the video, right?
Yeah.
And so I was just like, yeah, man. And then I was like, dude, who's this Ben Shapiro guy?
Oh, wow.
So I was like, he's kind like, I remember I always was like, he's kind of a jerk. But I was like, I kind of agree with, you know. And then so, I mean, I was just kind of like going down there. You know, I was going down that rabbit hole. I never got like super crazy, like any sort of like white supremacy, at least like overtly, maybe. Maybe there were, I'm sure there were things like internally, but like overtly, I was never like white people are smarter. It's just IQ, you know, because Lord knows I'm not that.
Well, I was going to say, like, if you ever made the jump from Ben Shapiro to maybe like, I don't know, Dave Rubin or someone else who talks to Stefan Molyneux. And then you would have gone down the Stefan Molyneux pipeline all the way down to like Jared Taylor, and then you'd end up with Richard Spencer. And by that point, yeah, you're in the full on like race realism, IQ bullshit stuff. Yeah. So if you stopped at Ben Shapiro, I don't know how far the rabbit hole goes, but
that was pretty much, that was like as far as I ever went. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to be as honest as I can. I don't think there was ever anything further than that. Like I really think that was about it for me. And again, it was like, I know a lot of people I've seen a lot of people that are even left-leaning now, that, you know, at that time, they were like the anti-SJW, which is freaking funny because we freaking have blue hair and painted nails now, but whatever. But I was like, yeah, these freaking red hairs, wow, what a world. But so I kind of, you know, was going down that rabbit hole, and I was in like different relationships. I'm not sure how much my girlfriend's gonna want. Yeah, she actually said it. My girlfriend in my chat says, "Then he met me, dog," which is true. So I was in relationships with people that were more conservative, and then I started talking to my girlfriend, who's my girlfriend now, and she's much more left leaning, and that was like her kind of opening me up to more because we still are long distance, but we were long distance at the time, so you know that just changes how much you actually talk about certain things. So like we weren't together, but we were talking, and then we're like talking a lot, and then she's bringing up these things, and we would get into these not like heated discussions, but she would bring things up that I had never heard before, and it would like stir things up in me, and I was like, I don't and I would get mad, honestly, like just being honest, like I would get mad because I felt like I didn't have an answer. And so through that, you know, opened me up to more things. And I'm going to be honest. Some of the people I'm going to bring up right now, I know are a lot of people don't like on the left. I'm just going to be honest about my conversion, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I remember I watched a video by Xander Hall where he was talking about how he got sucked into the alt-right pipeline. And a lot of the things he brought up, I felt very similar to. I never went as far as he did, but I just was like, that's interesting. And then he brought up a debate, a conversation that he said he watched between Destiny and JonTron. And
I thought it was going to be Lauren Southern, but yeah, those are the two big ones.
So he brought that up, and I was like, I had heard about that a lot because I remember like JonTron went on H3 and like there was this thing. I think that was before, and so I was like, let me watch this, and then. Like, I had never, at that time, I had only seen the Ben Shapiro's and the Steven Crowders, where it was like, they always had an answer to everything the person said, knowing now it's like, well, of course you do. But like, at the time, I was like, yeah, these people are right. Like, it's all about facts over feelings. And then seeing someone actually be able to, especially the JonTron one, I mean, it's so classic now. But like, like giving actual rebuttals to these things, right? And then I started watching more of his videos, and then I found like Vosh and stuff, started watching his videos, and then through them I found your channel, and I started watching your videos, you know, and then it kind of like, it was with everything, like now I watch, it's the same thing, but just flipped, right? Which,
yeah, you went down the lefty pipeline instead.
Pretty much. Like, and like I said, I'm still learning so much, and I mean, I appreciate like one thing about you, Lance, like, and I'm not trying to like, you know, just kiss your butt or whatever. But like one thing I remember when the first time I came into your chat and started talking, like you acknowledged me and you started talking to me, and that like I don't know, it just and that's something you do with your chat a lot. Like you speak to your chat a lot, and it just I don't know, like it made me feel comfortable, I guess, in a way. Which I would
cool.
say that your stream is very comfortable. I think that's one thing that's very nice about your stream. But yeah, so like, and that's kind of how I went from one. I don't know. Extreme depends on the person, but from one side to another. And but the reason that so this is actually important. I kind of skipped over it. So the things that were happening in the world, that made me open to, other ideas was BLM and COVID. So like, BLM so this is something that's been huge for me as far as my religion and church and all that stuff, is seeing how most of the people at the church that I went to felt about BLM and felt about the virus.
Which was positive?
Yeah, it was terrible. Like, I couldn't believe it. I just felt so different than them. And so that was kind of the start of things. And then I have a good friend of mine. He said something and I was like, I feel like that's a pretty pointed like observation. Was he said the BLM and the virus has like made a lot of people that were maybe slightly left or slightly right get pushed to the further ends. Mm-hmm. And for me, I was like, at the time I was like starting to be more left leaning, and then it definitely happened to me. So, but those things last year, and a little bit before, but that stuff really, all of those things, and seeing how one side handled it, really, I was just like, man, I don't want to have anything to do with it. So.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's funny you say that about COVID, because I feel like that happened to so many people I knew, like family members too, who were just like, they started asking me so many questions. They were like, why are a disproportionate amount of like Black and Indigenous and like Latin people dying by like much higher numbers than like white people, like why is that happening? And I'd have to explain it to them. I was like, well, just because of the way like society is structured. A lot of them are frontline workers. They work, poor jobs, and those poor jobs has them interacting with other people in Amazon warehouses every day, and that's where the virus spreads, and they don't have safety work conditions, and because of that they're all getting sick really quickly. I feel like that happened to everybody to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm. And then like on the other side, it's like, people just got more, they're trying to take away my freedoms. And now it's like, I think a lot of people that were maybe more conservative have never been through something that was like, we need to make action. Like something has to happen, and you might lose certain things that you're used to. I don't think any of us, like even with all of the, at least in America, all the viruses that have happened, we've never had anything like this, mask mandates ever, right? So I think people that were maybe a little bit more just slightly to the right were like, oh my God. And they just went to the, at least that's my own observation.
No, you're not wrong. And it was over sometimes petty shit. It would be like, wearing a mask is itchy, ooh woo, like shit like that. And I would be like, this is it. This is the bar where it's like, oh, this is a mild inconvenience to me on a daily basis. Like, holy shit. I used to work manual labor. I couldn't imagine doing construction all day with a fucking face mask on in like the hot summer heat. Like that would be absolutely brutal. Let alone like having to like go into like, I don't know, a supermarket. Like, oh shit, you're having a hard day. I have to put on my mask for about 20 minutes to get my groceries and my wine, go home, Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of people, like when you think about like fitness, right? There's definitely a, it's more to this side, right? To the right. Like I feel like a lot of people in the fitness space are more lean that way. And this is something, so that's actually something you brought up, like the first time that I remember I came into the stream when I was talking, you kind of brought that up. And it's something I've been kind of thinking about ever since, honestly. And I think a big reason, I know that I'm kind of changing the subject, so I apologize.
No, goodness. We're just free-versing now.
Cool. So I've been thinking about it, and I think a big part of it is the whole pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And I think that's why I was going down that road, because I felt like I was the crap, I think, for a little bit. Like I don't cuss, so I know that's kind of weird to say, but it's just how I am.
Oh, is that a Christian thing?
Not really. It's kind of how I've always been.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time I cussed on a video on YouTube and it was like one of the first videos I ever made, and I remember I
Yeah.
rewatched it back and I was just like, I don't know. It just didn't feel right. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, fair
But
enough.
maybe I'm sure part of it is I would it would be a lie if I was like, it has nothing to do with that. Like, of course it does. But so I remember thinking like, oh, like I've done all this, I've done such an amazing job, and like, and it's not like I felt like I was better than people, but it's like if you want to do an amazing job like me, you just have to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that, I think like working hard is something that I enjoy doing still, but
Oh, and
there
it's
are some
admirable advice. Like I don't think
yeah.
when Jordan Peterson is like clean up your room, he's telling people something that's wrong to hear. Like it's
Mhm.
better to have your room clean. It's better to be like have a shower every day, stuff like that. No question. But I think he totally skips over the fact that like some people can't. Like some people
Yeah.
just getting out of bed is like a massive accomplishment for them. And then they go on and everyone on the internet is like, you're responsible for all your failures. You and you alone, nothing else, nothing external has ever affected your life. It's like, motherfucker, like, do you know how many people like have so many fucking outside influences like bogging them down? Sorry, I'm totally going off tangent.
No, that's exactly how I agree, right? And so, but the thing is that I think the reason that I resonated so much with the whole Jordan Peterson thing is because I was like, yeah, like I've worked hard. I've changed my life, which I mean I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that it completely negates what someone else has gone through, and it's like you said,
Or
there
is
are
going through.
people that yeah, or is exactly. And there are people that might not be able to do that at the time, And so I've been doing a lot of work to try and understand as much as I can. Obviously, I'm never going to fully, and tried to kind of tailor the way that I speak and the things that I say and the advice that I give. That's why I try and simplify everything as much as I possibly can. You know.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Do you want me to give you my super simplified sales pitch on leftism?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Super simplified. This is not going to be outrageous or radical. Okay, this is my sales pitch to you in your chat. Um, do y'all believe in freedom? Do y'all love freedom? It's not a trick question. Because my answer would be yes. Yeah, no, I like freedom too, and I like the ability to vote in an election, right? Like, don't you like having the freedom to choose your elected leaders, right? Because I do. I just want to extend that to the workplace, to where everyone spends 8 hours of their day every single day, going into their 9 to 5, clocking in, clocking out. I think that they should have some more freedom in the workplace. I think that we shouldn't have a system where we have, let's just say, corporate overlords, dictators, if you will, people who are at the top at the businesses, and they make all the decisions for thousands of employees, and the people who spend their 9 to 5 every single day don't get any say in any of that. And that's on the simplest terms, right? My sales pitch when it comes to people I think should have democracy in the workplace, the same way they do in their everyday lives, to be able to vote for politicians. Does that sound too radical? Have I gone too far?
Unbelievable. Radical, radical liberal, Raphael Warnock. Oh my god. No, so like the one thing that I don't even know if I'm really asking for advice. I'm more just kind of sharing, like the biggest thing that I struggle with, or
Yeah, of course.
like my most, like, I guess biggest struggle is that, like, I believe that we have the power to, change our life. Like a lot of us do, right? Or like to,
Yeah, of course.
like when we're talking about weight loss, right? Like that's the thing I focus on. Like when we're talking about
Yeah.
like weight loss and fitness, like I believe for a lot of people, we can, make these massive changes that can benefit ourselves. And I struggle with, like, I'm always worried because I'm not trying to exclude anyone when I say that, right? But like I also struggle a lot with in growing in popularity, I'm not sure how much you know about this or whatever, but like growing in popularity, there's like the health at every size movement,
Mhm.
which a lot of what they say I actually do agree with. So like one of the big things that they talk about is getting better representation when you go to the doctors, which I fully, because I have had experience with that, being treated really bad when I was heavier. And things get missed because doctors are like, just lose weight and you'll be good. And it's like, hey, guess what? Had cancer. Didn't help me, you know?
Yeah.
Like that happens, right? Which I think is terrible. But I struggle with at a certain point. So one of the biggest tenets, I'm sorry, this is like one of the biggest tenets of health at every size is that, right? Health at every size. And so for me, I agree that for the most part, you can be healthy at a lot of sizes, right? You don't have to look like me. You don't have to be shredded. You don't have to be a bodybuilder or anything like that. But like there are the extremes that I feel like, because what they always say is you can't tell how healthy someone is by looking at them. But to the extremes, when we're talking about either really, really thin or, really, really overweight, you can kind of be like, okay, like for me, it was like I couldn't reach down and tie my own shoe,
Mhm.
and like I couldn't stand for, over an hour at a time. And
Mhm.
so it was like, it's just hard for me because I know that a lot of times like I'll make content where I'm like disagreeing with what a lot of the, health at every size advocates are saying. And I know that they they probably watch my video and think this freaking like conservative, of course, fitness guy. And I'm just like, I struggle with it because I'm not, I don't feel like I'm that person, but like, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that they say. Like there are
Mhm.
certain things that I agree with, but there's so much stuff that like, I feel like there's genuine damage that's being made, against people. And I don't know. Again, like I said, I'm not asking for your advice, but like, that's just like,
I
that's
don't
something that I struggle with daily.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on any political spectrum is advocating for people to either be like morbidly obese or anorexic, right? Like I don't think anyone does that. Even people who are trying to celebrate, I think like, different body types. I think like the best example I can give you, have you ever seen that photo where it's like a whole bunch of female athletes and they're all standing in a line and it was like these women are all the same, like I can't remember if it's BMI or something. But anyways, it's like five women who are all incredibly in shape because they're all athletes. But each one of them looks dramatically different because they're different heights, they're different body types, all that kind of stuff. But they're all in shape, right? And if you looked at that picture, like the stereotypical thing would probably be for like like a straight dude to look at it and be like, well, this one's hot because they're like stereotypically hot, but this one is like out of shape, right? But all of them are in shape, and all of them are like at peak performance. They all look different because that's just humans. We're just different body types, right? Like we just look different. That I think is a great example of like celebrating like the diversity of body types. That is a very healthy way of doing it. And like that's what I thought the first time I saw that. I think if someone is like, you should like release I don't know, whatever kind of like I don't know what the original reference is to. Maybe like people who were like trying to push propaganda for something, that would be different. But like, yeah, that to me is healthy. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Like the way that I kind of, I guess, deal with it like internally and mentally is the way I see it is like I advocate that if someone wants to lose weight, right? That's something that they want to do. I'm here for them, right? Like my channel, my stream, all the stuff that I do, like I'm here for you. I'm never going to go out and make videos of being like, see this person? See this big chungus over here? They need to lose weight and this is why. Blah 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 blah. Like that's not what I ever do.
Hmm.
And so I don't know. That's just something that's always on my mind, and I was just kind of because you know a lot about, at least I feel like you know a lot about this side of the aisle. I don't know if that's a cheesy saying, but like, and so I'm always just, I don't know. I kind of wanted to pick your brain a little bit on that, just to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, that would probably be like the first thing I could think of, because I don't think there's anyone on any, like I said, side of the political aisle who advocates for like extreme different body types, right? Like it's totally healthy if you're like paper thin or something like that. Or maybe, unless you're talking about how it's like it's subtly been influenced in popular media for years, that like women, especially women who are like supposed to be models and stuff, have to obtain these like inhumanly possible physiques, which I do think it was a huge problem for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And then there was like a swing in the opposite direction, in which like I think Dev was the first ones where like we have to celebrate all body types at all times, no matter what the conditions or something to that effect, right? Which was kind of pushing the pulse in the other direction. But yeah, no, I don't think it's a huge problem. That would probably be the first thing I could think about that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like obviously this is something that like I'm super like entrenched in it, and so there are like there certainly are people that do kind of advocate for like you can be like truly any size. And but like I think the way that you and be healthy. And I think the way that you explained it is perfect, right? That there's the pendulum effect. That's what I call it. Is so especially for women, and this is something that I've noticed. There are a lot more like women in that movement than men. Like because I think a big reason is because women have been policed more on their bodies, just like on how they look, right?
They still are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%. They still are. It's just what the ideal standard has changed, right? Which it's always going to be changing. And then men have been, they've been to a certain extent, maybe like muscles and all that stuff, but it's more based on your accolades, what you've been able to achieve.
There's definitely been a movement towards like what I would call like the Adonis figure. Like there is like beginning to be more like pressure put on men. Like I don't want to like skirt that over. That's certainly a bigger part of society today. I just still don't see them as comparable, because I still think women are almost uniquely objectified just for how they look, whereas a man can be judged on so many other characteristics.
Yeah, and so like exactly what you said, which is I mean a very good observation. It's the pendulum effect. So it was like super thin for a while, especially like I think like early 90s or like early 2000s, late 90s. It was like the pencil thin with the Lowe's cut jeans. And then it truly has gone to the other side. And like, I mean, again, of course it's the vocal minority, but like I have talked about and like spoken with, people that really are, you can be any size and be healthy. Right. And it's, I just like, again, I could only speak from my experience, but I have been to a point where it's like my weight was affecting my life. And I don't, of course you can be beautiful. Of course you can be confident. Of course you can love yourself. But I knew that I was not in a good place, And so again, when I talk about this stuff, it's not like I'm like here to attack those people. It's just
of course,
because the thing that's crazy, and this is what kind of sparked everything for me about talking about this stuff, was there were people that were literally like calling me ex-fat, and they were like, there are people that will say like, if you lose weight, that's fat phobic. And so I had people calling me fat phobic, and I was like, fat phobic? I didn't even know what that was. This was a few years ago. And so that kind of led me into all of this. It's crazy
that's
because
wild. I didn't know that was a thing. I probably wouldn't entertain that line of if someone's like advocating for weight loss makes you fat shaming in some way. I don't think that's fair. Like I think that's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. And people are honestly doing that too. Yeah, that's silly. Like I would say I don't think in any way someone who's like trying to be proud of the fact that he accomplished that. Like, let's just be completely like accurate about this, because like I was big in high school, and like I had to work at losing weight. Like it's hard, it takes a really long time to kind of get in patterns that actually can do something for you. So if someone's like just talking about that makes you fat phobic, then yeah, no, I think you're kind of taking away from people who actually do shame fat people, which is like a horrible thing, right?
Yeah.
So
there's like, I mean, it gets crazy. Like there's posts that like, if you go to the gym and you care about losing weight, you're fat phobic. Even if you go to the gym at all. And it's just like, why does it have to be so extreme always? Like there are people that are complete jerks, right? We've all met them that are like, oh, look at this fatty, disgusting, nasty pig. Like that's wrong. Of course that's wrong. But someone that has dealt with obesity, that is like wants to lose weight, why would we make them feel bad for wanting to make a change? And that's kind of how everything started for me, as far as like going down that whole rabbit hole. But yeah, we don't. I mean,
the conservative one you're talking about. I had a question from one of my mods I wanted to ask you. They said, what happened to your friends and family, or do they know when you started making a big like political pivot to the other side, or is that still like the secret?
so it's definitely not a secret because I am, content creator. I'm full of myself, so I share everything, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that most of my close friends and family, they if they are right, they're not like super far. So a lot of the stuff they actually agree with. Like I have so I live with my brother and my sister-in-law. And my brother he works for the church. He plays music and stuff. And but he also marched with me at the BLM marches, right? So like he is definitely not like super far, but like he is just, we don't like argue about anything. He's just like, yeah, do what you want to do. I understand where you're coming from, right? And then as far as like my mom, she's always been more, I guess, like liberal in terms of like she was always kind of like down with like gay marriage and like she was always down with like weed because she went through all that, and like one of my one of my brothers, like he's into that, and so she's always kind of been down with that stuff. So like she's always felt a little estranged from that side. So luckily I didn't have any like really close family. But as far as like friends and I mean like followers, like I posted today that I had got my nails done, right? I lost like 1,000 followers for it, and like there's like
Wow.
tons of people being like, "Oh, so you're gay now. Oh, so are you changing your pronouns and all this stuff." And so like that's like I've seen more people from like that than people that are actually like really close to me.
That's
Yeah,
super
and I mean,
sus.
and I don't want to just talk about the negative because there have been positives, and I've gotten closer to people. Like I mean like you, right? Like I've in all of these I've made these other connections. So like yes, I have lost some, but I've gained so much more
Mhm.
that it hasn't been like a negative. It's been a net positive.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna lose 1,000 people over nails because I think you're gay suddenly, I
Dude,
think that's a fine loss. You're like, well, I just trimmed
uh,
the homophobes out of my Instagram, so I think we're better now.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
And your nails look great, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I got them done. People are like, "Did you do that yourself?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. No way. I'm not that talented."
Yeah, no,
I
it's not
got the
easy.
gel.
It's
I
not
got the
easy.
gel ones, and my girlfriend was like, "Maybe that wasn't the best choice because now you have to. If you ever want to take them off, you can't do it yourself." And I was like, "Dang it, they got me."
Until they get you hooked. Beast, it was honestly awesome to finally do this. That was an
Yeah,
absolute blast. Where can people find you?
yeah. So if you want to find me, I mean, if you're on Twitch, hopefully you'll come by. Obese the Beast on Twitch, and then same thing for Instagram, for Twitter, for Facebook, not Facebook, and YouTube. Pretty much just all Obese the Beast. You can find me.
Awesome. Let's do this again. That was an absolute blast.
Dude, I really, really enjoyed this, and I appreciate you taking the time out, man.
Sweet. All right, take it easy.
All right, peace out.
Do you want movies and surfs watching the movies? So then come over to the new channels. It's the Serfs, the cinema. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Can you do the thing, that thumbs up and comment and all those things that help us out in the algorithm that controls every aspect of our lives? Also, if you happen to have a Facebook account, can you delete it? Like just delete it. You should probably delete your Facebook account because it's not a great company. But hey, if you can't do that for whatever reason, I understand. And could you also go to facebook.com/thesurftimes then and give us a little like and a follow. We're just trying to push back against the fact that people like Ben Shapiro happen to dominate the platform entirely. And when everyone asks why do older generations believe the things they believe, one of the problems is the majority of them on social media use Facebook. So to counter that, we're just going to be on there too now. Also, if you happen to have a union or a worker co-op or even a leftist project, podcast, website, Zoom, MySpace, it doesn't matter. We will advertise it for free on this channel. All you got to do is go to weareserfs.com and use the forms that we got there, weareserfs.com. Thanks, everybody.
To our wonderful gods, Xander Corvus, VK Jehannam, T. Grow, and Peyton L. Just, may you smite all of our enemies. To our monarchs, Tom Spiker and the Tim Caucus, we are your humble servants, ready to do all your bidding. To our lords, Evan Nudie, Trevor R., Alexander Thaler, Ryan Lubin, and Jeff Lamb, we shall proudly carry your banner on the online battlefield. To our Knights of the Round Table, Val 9000, Jenna Tal, Dark Puppy, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropopojak, Saren 42, Chronic the Hemphog, Phone Jenny, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Jibby Big Nuts, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Yopi, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our glass and we raise our swords and we salute you.